Trypticon cannot be stopped!
Okay, here's a look at Dr.Wu's Energy Dragon, which is their version of a legend scaled Trypticon. So here you could see the front of the box artwork, and the back of the box you get the product image of Trypticon. Side of the box you get that same image, and then the other side you get an image of the city mode, I think, the little ramp. And then the top, this is from their Extreme Warfare series. This is DW-E18. The bottom, warning words and stuff, and the QR code you could scan if you want. So that is a look at the box. And here is a look at Trypticon, already transformed into his cube mode, because they don't show you how to transform it into the cube mode. So I want to start here. But first, let's go over all the other accessories that you get. So first, you get the bio card, which is my favorite, done in that texturized plastic, which I actually think is really cool. You could see you can't really tear it, but it has that same sketch on the front of the box. And the back, you get your bio and tech spec. You can pause in and read what that says if you're interested. So that's the bio card. And then the instructions. So yeah, let's go over the instructions because it's not really organized very well in my opinion. So first, it's showing you how to transform it from the city mode into the battle mode, and then it's showing you how to transform it from Trypticon into the city mode. And if you notice, they don't show you anywhere how to transform it into the cube mode. And it was, intended to transform like this. Certain parts I noticed, like these shoulder guns, there's a panel that folds up and stuff. But yeah, it was designed to transform into the cube, but they didn't show you that in the instructions. So here I just want to get a close-up look at all sides so you know what this is supposed to look like. Don't know what's the top, bottom, front, back, left, right, but I'm just gonna go with his chest and his head. So this is the top, his head with that crest on his head. And I think that he's called Full Tilt, that little robot that goes onto the chest. So that's the front. And then you could see the white pieces, those are his shoulder guns. And then you could see that big circle, that's his thigh, his leg, and then his feet and his arms. And then here's his back with the tail on the bottom. So yeah, here's the sides of Trypticon. And for comparison, I want to bring out the Metroplex in his cube mode. And basically, this is the only reason why I bought it, is just so I can have these two paired together. So you have Metroplex's Nemesis Trypticon. Yeah, so here you could see, yeah, it's kind of a cool thing, to transform, have fun playing with, putting it on your desk. And I'll just point out, this is really easy to transform once you know how it's the correct orientation. That's why I was showing you all the sides. But this one, this is a really big, disastrous mess. I mean, you could see his shoulder guns here. You could see 6 guns, gun on the arm, his leg, and then parts of his guns here, and then Scamper and his gun, and the tolerance is not done very well, so things easily come untabbed just by a little touch. Trying to get this all put together is really difficult. So I just wanted to point that out, just to point out the difference. This is easy. This is not so easy. So you kind of have to really know the orientation of this. So that's why I'm doing this, just to document how this is supposed to look in his cube mode. But yeah, that's a look at Trypticon in his cube mode. So now from here, let's transform him to his robot mode and take a look at that.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Okay, to transform Trypticon to his robot mode, first we need to start untabbing things. So separate these two sides that full tilt is tabbed into. You could see the two tabs on the side go into the two slots back there. And then we can pull out on the sides, untab his feet that go into his head. And then we can rotate down here the legs on both sides. And then you can untab the shoulder guns, put that to the side over here. And then his feet, you could see it's on a ball joint, rotate it on both sides. And then his head, you could see simply just comes up. And then here his tail, it's a bunch of panel pieces you need to open up to bring out his tail. That's one part. And then you need to open up the other panel to open up the other part of this tail to bring it out. Tolerance here is tight because there's a screw. And then there is one more little tail piece you want to, if I can get it out, pull this out. And then there's just a little nub for his tail there. And then you could see his arms. You just want to rotate these forward. You want to also untab it and then rotate it forward on both sides. So you untab this, rotate this forward, and then if you want, you can articulate his claws here so they're a little bit open. And then his head, you could see that little crest done in that transparent orange. It's kind of hard to get to because they did not give you a little nub, but you lift that up and then you could bring down the little cannon here and then tilt his head, and then you just articulate this so he's facing a nice pose. And then the signature little walking gimmick from the G1 toy, you want to also bring that out. And again, I'm a little upset they did not make it easy to get this out by just simply putting in a little nub to bring it out. So you kind of have to fuss with this just to get that out. And then once we got that, then we can figure out which shoulder pieces go where. And I was telling you, you could tell that this is meant to be the box because this piece, there's this panel piece that folds in. So you want to open up these panels. And then I'll just point this out here. The official transformation has them so that these guns are facing the top. And just to show you real quick, there is a button here. This is a spring-loaded gimmick, so it does fire. So that's cool. So I'm showing you the official transformation shows you that you can, or shows you to attach the guns this way. But the actual character design Trypticon's guns were actually facing down to his back. So yeah, you could put it either way, whichever way you want. And since I'm always focused on the tune accuracy, I'm gonna put it this way so that it's on his back. And then the last thing is you just attach a full tilt. You could see there's a little post there and a little slot. You just simply line that up, tab it in, give it a good squeeze, and then we have Trypticon in his robot mode. So here you could see what Trypticon looks like. It's a nice, cute little chubby style, super deformed figure. Yeah. I'm not really sure why I got it. I think, well, I got it just to go with the Metroplex, but then I'm not sure why I got the Metroplex, because I'm not really a fan of this super deformed chibi style, but, you know, I got it, so it is what it is. So now when we take a closer look, you could see the details. And then I'm always about the tune accuracy. There's a lot of things that's not really tune accurate, such as this nice turquoise color. I think they should have, you know, added some more of that color up here, because when you compare it with the animation model, it's actually missing a lot of that color. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer for me. And also, you know, the way they sculpted in the details here, I wish they would have just kept it clean, so then I could have put the Decepticon logo that's supposed to go there. So I'm just being really nitpicky, pointing out the things that's not really tune accurate with this. But in terms of the articulation, you could see his mouth does open, and I kind of don't like the design of these teeth, because it looks like he lost some bottom teeth. I think they could have sculpted it a little bit differently, so maybe the top teeth are more on the outside, then the inside teeth are more on the inside, and then he could have had a full set of teeth on the bottom. And then you could see in here, he does have guns in his mouth, but it's really hard to get to unless you use a spudger, but you can do that. And I do like how there's a little slot in there. It's just unfortunate they didn't give you any, you know, blast effects. That would have been cool if they would have done that. This, compared to the Metroplex, you know, is really missing a lot of accessories. But anyways, here is a look at Trypticon in his robot mode.
Well, Metroplex, you promised me Metroplex, me smash him!
And here is Trypticon next to the Dr.Wu Metroplex. So here you could see what these two guys look like together. You can kind of pose and articulate them so that it looks like they're fighting each other if you want. But yeah, like I said, that's the main reason why I got this. So, you know, I can have these two together. But, you know, in general, I kind of regret getting it, because this is not really my thing, you know, the super deformed, chubby style. But, you know, it is what it is, so I'm just trying to appreciate this for what it is. I mean, they are kind of cool. So here's a look at that. And in terms of their minions, Trypticon comes with full tilt. And you could see it does not transform, like flipping the legs over, no articulation with the arms. But you could see you just flip them over and this is what we have. So yeah, this, yeah, it is what it is. And at least he does scale with Scamper. So I guess that's why they made it so that the legs don't transform. And then you have Slammer and Six Gun. And I'm just pointing out all my complaints. Metroplex is supposed to have the shoulders, guns on his shoulders. But also, Six Gun is supposed to have guns on his shoulders. And my complaint is, I wish they would have given you 4 of these. But they didn't. But yeah, you could see what these guys look like together. So now you have a somewhat of a complete set, because Trypticon is actually missing what's this? I think it's Brunt, which is supposed to be the gun piece that, you know, I think he's supposed to fight Slammer. Yeah, so we don't get that here. And then there is another character, Wipeout. Don't remember ever seeing him in the cartoon and stuff, but yeah, it's basically like a black wind charger, so I guess it could go with that. And the only reason why I'm saying it is because, you know, if they would have given us those other figures, it would have been a nice complete set. You know, then you can have these guys fighting each other. But yeah, it is what it is. And I just thought I'd show you what Trypticon looks like in robot mode. And then for articulation, I don't need to go over it. I mean, you could see the joints and stuff. It's on a ball joint, so you can kind of figure out the articulation. But I will point out the thigh here is on a double hinge, so you could see it can go up and down, and I have it up because I think that just looks a little bit more proportionally correct. And then the arms, the same thing, you could see all the hinges. So, and then the shoulders on a ball joint, so get a good amount of articulation. And then you have that spring loaded a missile launcher thing, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, here's a look at Trypticon in his robot mode. So now let's transform him to his battle mode and take a look at that. Okay, to transform Trypticon into his battle station mode, first remove the shoulder guns and put that to the side. And then we want to just close up all of this, his crest, and then close his mouth, and then straighten that up. And then we can close his claws, and then his feet here, these, I don't know what you call them, but those, you know, mechanical things from the original G1, you could fold those in, and then you can rotate his foot out on both sides, and then bring down his toes on both sides. And then it's going to go this way. So now we want to bring down his leg that's on the panel piece that forms the side of his body. And when you do, I'm just pointing things out, this actually brings down the thigh on its own just by bringing it down. So I'll show you, it's up here and there is a double hinge in there, but when you bring it down, it's actually going to push this down on its own automatically. So just pointing that out. Once you do, then you could straighten out these legs, and then his arms, you want to bring them down, and there is a tab that goes into the little slot right there. You just line that up, tab it in, and do the same on the other side like so. And then now we can rotate these legs back, and there is a post here that goes into the slot there. Line it up, tab it in, and do the same on the other side. Find that slot. And then you could see there's a wheel here, and then there's wheels here, but you need to also rotate these wheels down. So now this can roll. And then the little nub on his tail, you could fold that in. And then we can remove full tilt, put them to the side. And then these guns, you could fold down that panel piece, and you just tab it in here to the side of his arm, and then you can rotate this up at the angle you want. Do the same on the other side. Yeah, tab that in, and then there are extra guns here on the side that you can fold down on both sides. And then the last thing is this top piece. You could lift that up, pull down a little bit of the transparent orange cannon, and then use that to pull and extend this all the way up, and then bring that forward. And now we have Trypticon in his battle station mode. You can kind of angle that down. And yeah, for comparisons, let's compare this with the animation model, and you could see that yeah, there's a lot of things that are not really tune accurate. I don't want to point out all of them, but you know, obviously like the purple tower missing with the guns attached to it, it's missing. The location of these are, you know, off. Actually, let me see. No, there is no way to attach it here. I don't see. But yeah, but you know, for a super deformed, chubby style, legend scale Trypticon, you know, it is what it is. There are no real issues in terms of, you know, the transformation and stuff, just the tolerance and stuff. So that's a look at Trypticon in his battle station mode. And for comparisons, here is a look at my customized transformation of Trypticon in his battle station mode, so that it looks a little bit more tune accurate, next to Metroplex that was custom transformed to be a little bit more tune accurate. And you could see that, yeah, this does look a little bit closer to the animation model, but yeah, there are little things here and there that's still off. But yeah, I'm not going to point them out. You could see the difference. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you what that looks like. And again, you know, for a super deformed, chubby style, legend scale Trypticon and Metroplex, these are, you know, kind of fun little figures to mess around with. It's not really perfect. It's kind of like a stylized version, but it's still fun. Not really some major issues other than, you know, some tolerance things and maybe missing some parts. But yeah, so that's a look at Trypticon in his battle station mode. So now let's transform him to his city mode and take a look at that. Okay, to transform Trypticon to his city mode, first untab the shoulder guns, put them to the side, and then we can start straightening things up here. Here's the tower, and then his arms, you can untab them from the sides, and then lift these arms up to kind of mimic some more towers. And then here you want to untab the foot from the body, and then obviously from here, this circle piece, you want to separate these two halves to open this up. It's on a double hinge down here, and then you just orientate this, I guess, however you want, you know, either straight at an angle or at an angle like this. Really doesn't matter. And then you do the same on the other side. And then once we got that done, then we can rotate these top pieces that are supposed to be like these guns, and then his feet. You could fold these back to the front, and then you can take these tower pieces, and then, or his guns that act like tower pieces, and tab that in on both sides. And then the ramp piece, you could see, just simply pull this panel piece out. This is the little annoying things that they do like this, these are easily fixable. All you have to do is put a little gap or a nub, makes it a little bit easier to get that out. And then they don't really lock into position, so you just kind of have to use the friction to get this all adjusted in the position that you want. And then full tilt, you can just have him looking like he's coming out. And now we have Trypticon in his city mode. And for comparisons, now let's compare this with the animation model. And then you could see again, I'm just going to keep it short and simple, because you could see the difference. There's just so many things that are just off. You know, the purple towers here with the, I don't know, those solar antennas or something. And then the purple ramps missing down there. Yeah. But again, like I said, for a super deformed, chubby style, legend scale Trypticon, I guess, you know, it's okay. And I'll just tell you, you know, always, because I'm trying to be very tune accurate, if you want those little purple things on the inner part of his feet, you can actually lift these up and have these acting as little towers. So now this kind of looks a little bit more like the animation. So that's just little details there that the instructions didn't show you, but I think they should have, because that's just so easy. You know, it is on the animation. So anyways, here is a look at Trypticon in his city mode. And for some comparisons, here he is next to Metroplex in his city mode, along with Scamper and Slammer. So now you could see what these look like together. And yeah, like I said already many times, this, you know, for a super deformed, chubby style, legend scaled Trypticon and Metroplex, I guess it's okay. These are, you know, kind of fun to play with and transform. But for me, you know, just, you know, some of the issues that I have with this is that, yeah, it's not very tune accurate. You know, like all the things I pointed out, missing the purple ramp and stuff like that. So it's basically kind of like a stylized, super deformed, chibi style, legend scale Trypticon and Metroplex. But, you know, I guess it's, you know, something fun to just mess around with. But, yeah, so I'm just sharing, you know, I have little conflicting feelings about this. But, you know, it is what it is. No real major complaints or issues other than, you know, the tolerance could have been done a little bit better. And the accessories on this figure, I think they could have, you know, added a little bit more, such as Trypticon, you know, having a little bit more of the turquoise green color on the front and stuff like that. And maybe also some of the other accessories, like this is supposed to be, I think, brunt. So that would have been nice to have. But, you know, like I said, it is what it is. So anyways, this is a look at Dr. Wu's version of a super deformed, chubby style, legend scaled Trypticon.
Trypticon cannot be stopped! Nothing can stand in my way!